Hey everyone, today is part 2 of our Q&A with Kati series. Last week's questions were really interesting, and this week we have 5 more questions that Kati's going to answer. First question, Kati, is what is a good way to break down the awkwardness with your therapist when you go in for their first session?
This question actually made me laugh out loud a little bit because that awkward moment, as soon as I read this, I could visualize that awkward moment when you have a new client coming into the office and they don't know you and you don't know them, and it's kind of like you're getting to know each other like you've just met someone for the first time, right? That's really what it is. But the bizarre thing is that they're not learning about me. I'm asking questions about them, and sometimes I'm asking questions that they aren't used to hearing and they don't even talk about to anybody. And so it can be a slow dance, and there's not really a magic trick that we can do to kind of break that awkwardness. More so, I mean, as the therapist, I feel like it's my responsibility to help them feel comfortable. Everybody's uncomfortable coming to a therapist, especially if they haven't been to one before, and especially if I'm going to ask them to talk about things that they don't really like to talk about. So I put it on me to open up with easy questions and like what I call like softball questions to get them warmed up, to get them comfortable, to see where they come from and what school are they in, or are they in college, or what do they do for a living, or any kind of easy question so that we can build a little bit of rapport so they feel more comfortable moving forward.
Ooh, this one's really interesting too. How is it different working with teenagers compared to adults?
Teenagers, they are very different than adults to work with. Number one, I not only just work with the teenager, but I have to work with at least one of the parents, sometimes both. Sometimes it's like a family thing. You never know how much you're gonna get when you see a teenager. And they're also, in my experience, I know everybody's different, but they're also the slower ones to open up. They don't really trust me. They know that I have to tell their parents certain things. They know that they don't have complete confidentiality because they're not 18, and I can tell that makes them uncomfortable. So they're slower to warm, and it usually involves the parents, and so part of their session is when the mom or dad or both come in, and so it just slows the process down a little bit. But I find you can get just as good of results with teenagers as adults. It's just all about how you manage the relationship and how you move things forward.
This one I really wanted to know the answer to because I'm going to be a therapist someday, and I was really interested in this question, and it is, does being a therapist and hearing about people's problems all day get tiring?
I get this question all the time, not only from people online, but also from my friends and family members and just people that find out what I do. And they're always like, isn't that just really hard to hear people's problems all day? Doesn't that make you depressed? How do you hear that stuff back to back and not get totally exhausted and emotionally wiped out? And the truth of it is, and I don't know if this makes me weird, but it doesn't exhaust me. Yes, it's like a long work day. If I have a long work day, I'm tired anyways, but it has nothing to do with hearing what people are saying. I truthfully believe that as a therapist, I was given a gift, the ability to sit in my office, to hear people's problems, and know that they're not my problems. I'm helping them. I'm giving them the tools to work on those problems, but they're not my problems. And so I can completely separate them, leave work, know that they're working on it. They know how to get a hold of me if there's an emergency. There's an understanding. It's a different type of relationship. It's not like a friendship where I feel for them like, oh, I hurt for them when they get broken up with or something like that. This is a different type of relationship where I'm helping them find the tools to work on their issues, and I'm able to leave that at the office. And I don't know if that makes me weird or if it just means I was made for the job.
This next question I think is really important for my younger viewers, and my subscriber asked, if we are under 18 and tell our therapist we are self-harming, does the therapist have to inform our parents?
Now this question I get so much online. If I'm under 18 and I self-harm, do you have to tell my parents? Is that something that has to happen? And the truth of it is no, I don't have to. Have to means I'm legally bound to, and I'm not. It's an ethical issue, and that's why I always tell any of my teen viewers or people I see in my office, I let them know that I'm not going to tell, because I understand that self-harm is not always a suicide attempt. That's what therapists usually think, and if it is a suicide attempt, then yes, I do have to tell your parents. But self-harm is an issue that not everyone understands, and so many therapists, because it's an ethical issue, it's something we as therapists get to decide on our own, they may feel like they have to. They may feel compelled to tell your parents. And so I would, at my first appointment as a teenager, ask the therapist, what things do they have to tell your parents? And I would just start naming off random things. Be like, I don't have any of these, or I may have some of these, but I'm just curious what you'd have to tell. If I drink and do drugs, if I self-harm, if I have an eating disorder, if I like, what are the things that you're gonna tell them so that you know going in what's gonna happen and you don't feel blindsided by it.
Now the last question is for anyone who's working right now. I think this is a really big topic, and you did a video, Katie, on this topic, and I will link that video down below. You did address this question in a recent video, and my subscriber asked, how do we tell our boss about our anxiety?
Ooh, this one's a hard one. Telling our boss about our anxiety can be difficult, and we may worry that it will change the way they look at us or the way that we'll work together. And I just put out a video about managing mental health in the workplace, and so I would encourage all of you to reference that video as well. But you don't always have to tell your boss about an issue. You really just have to tell HR or get the help that you need. But I understand for some people, if you work directly with your boss and they may be noticing that you're running late or you're having trouble or you're tearful or who knows what's going on, I would encourage you to take the time to sit down with them when you're not in a crunch for a deadline, when you both are in a lull, like maybe after a project was just finished. I'd go in and just let them know a little bit about what's going on. I wouldn't dump on them everything. And this is also one of those things that I would, prepare a little bit ahead, write down the key points, and maybe tell them, I've struggled with anxiety in the past, and I just want you to know that that's what I'm going through right now, and that's why I've been having trouble like you saw the other day, or whatever. And that's where I'd leave it. I wouldn't go into how long it's been, I wouldn't go into just how bad it is, I wouldn't go into medication, I wouldn't go into any of that. I would just let them know exactly what it is and why you need to tell them, like how is it affecting your work? And that's it.
That is the end of the Kati Morton Q&A series. Thank you so much, Katie, for being on my channel and answering all of our therapy questions. You guys have any more questions, her channel is down below. She's so many therapy videos. Please go check her out. She's a great source, and she's amazing for spreading mental awareness as well as helping everyone who has a mental illness. She's fabulous. Go check her out.
Thank you so much for having me on, Kristen. This has been such a great opportunity, and I hope that some of my answers were helpful for your viewers.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.